what the academic system has provided them.
Wow. That is very interesting, Jeff. You talking about that. I want to hear some thoughts from you out there. If you have any thoughts for Jeff, if you have a question or answer, comment, please drop it up there. We'll definitely be able to read it here and make sure that you are part of the conversation that we're having here in the studio. I want to put that question up there. If you put it up there again, the topic is about, cultural and creative industry, unleashing the transformative power of creativity for the local and cross-border development inspired by the New Africa France. When we talk about cultural, Jeff,
yes,
we want people to understand, and when we say that unleashing the power of transformative, you just talked about it. Perhaps you want to break this a little bit more down, to what are today's trend and challenges that will help us to level or to even come close to tapping into this huge amount of money that France is saying we're putting into Africa for creativity. I mean, I was reading and they're saying that now the French people have put in a lot of money in the creative industry, and they're saying that the technology and the creative, industry in France is going to be the next place to be. So it's no longer going to be just about Silicon Valley as the main thing, but we're seeing that, and France is saying that Africa can tap into it. How is this quite very realistic from our point of view? But more importantly, the question I want you to tackle is that what are those, trends that are today challenging our thinking that we need to rise up to the occasion to be able to match up with these guys?
That's a good question. The challenge is this: an opportunity for us to bridge the relationship with France starts with us trying to understand the key requirements for this relationship. Yeah. Let me focus on the creative sector. A lot of artists, for starters, let's say musicians, we'd not like to take care of the business side of our relationships. And what do I mean? For example, you'll find an artist has no website, an artist has no structure around their affairs. When people want to book you, they have to call you, and then when they call you, you're sleeping. When you have a manager, you've not given them enough powers. You don't respect them enough to make decisions for you, because you think that because the mentality is that a manager is supposed to behave like a promoter. We're supposed to have money. We have a limited understanding of structures, essentially, that we need. But that's because we forget that business is about 80% in the creative space, and talent is usually 10 to 20%. And it means that we need to appreciate the basic structures that we need to put in place to tap into this. For example, as a musician, you need to tick the basic boxes. Have you sorted your copyright issues? Have you uploaded your music to all the right platforms where you can monetize? Do you have your own website where people can directly pay you? If you're a promoter, do you have your business structured in a proper way? Are you paying taxes? Have you cleared your tax issues? Because if you're going to, say, work with a French government institution, then you need to be a legitimate institution as well. Yeah. So you can't interface with that when you're illegitimate with a legitimate institution. Yeah. So sort out your basics and be ready to tap into the opportunity. The opportunity is there, but you cannot access it if you are not ready for it. If you're an innovator in this space, do you have a pitch deck? A pitch deck, a basic document. Or if you're looking for a partner and someone is saying, okay, I'm opening doors so that people can come and engage with you, I'm bringing a delegation of French businessmen to here, creative entrepreneurs who have ideas. Do you have a pitch deck? Set yourself up for opportunity. Opportunity is there, but we need to set ourselves up for this opportunity. Don't let it not land in your hands and then you're not ready. It's like someone who is asking for food, but you don't even have a plate. How much can your hands hold? So get your plate ready. That's what it is. So whatever sector you're in and what your idea of setting yourself up is, go do it. Don't sleep on it.
Wow. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for that, Jeff. I think he's done a very good justice to that question, that for us to match up and to unleash the transformative power of creative thinking in the cultural space and in the creative industry, we need to be able to prepare ourselves to stand the test of time. Of course, the Creative Industry Talk is going to go for a break. When we come back, Jeff and I are going to dive to the final part of the show where we ask questions. Are we ready for some of these? What are those areas that we can pick onto? And we'll answer the question of what are the key policy areas to consider going forward. From the government of Uganda point of view, what are our thoughts? From the creative industry point of view, what are our thoughts? And how do we come together with Vino to understand whether the French are real with a new relationship in Africa, or it's not, or it's just a new rebrand of things, and things are going to be a different way. We're going to dive into it shortly after this break. Stay right there. I'll be right back after this.
If you create a space which enables people to think and thrive, that's a bonus. Before I started working officially, I used to do a lot of freelance work. And as a young freelancer, my laptop was on my back. And I didn't have an internet connection. I didn't have an office desk. It was difficult for me to work at home. So what I did is I would go and sit in a restaurant, buy some tea or breakfast, and ask for a Wi-Fi password. And then I would sit there and have my breakfast slowly. You know, as I did my work and I sent work to clients and everything, you know. But before long, lunchtime, it would be lunchtime, you know. And they would
be forced to eat also.
They would bring you a lunch menu. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So when you find a space where people can come and sit and pay for a full day.
10,000, I'm told.
Yes, you see, that is creativity.
Yeah.
Because the owner of this building or the owner of this space knows that people, there's a certain segment of the market that can't afford to rent a premises per square meter or 10 square meters or 100 square meters and pay monthly and bring their own furniture, their own internet connection, carpeting, light and everything, a working bathroom, and then lunch for staff members. So they think about it creatively and they say, how many people can this space take? 100 people per day. Okay, good. If each of those people pays 10,000 per day, and they come and have access to the internet and a nice chair and a desk and a good environment where they can concentrate and deliver. That is brilliant. That is creativity in the workplace.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. And you talked about the traditional way of doing things. We're moving away from it. But I want to say this to you. You know, what role can we play in shaping the new structure of education going forward? Are we engaging people in education sector as creative people to say, look, we went through this process, but when we came out, we realized that some of the things we went through in school are no longer applicable. Albert Opio, for example, was here, and he said that some of the things we studied in Makerere during our studies, we didn't practice them. When we came out, people had moved on. It was not, I didn't find where to use it, so it was difficult for me to fit in with whatever I studied in the university at the time. And what was selling was a question to you, Jeff. What are the key policy areas that we need to consider?
Well, In regards to education, and I've seen some steps that have made that have been made in that direction. I remember the School of Performing Arts at Makerere. They started engaging practitioners of performing arts in general. I have guest lectured myself at the School of Performing Arts, and they've also, I know other colleagues in the space who have also been guest lecturing there. The idea here is that education is not a silo, and knowledge is not a lake. Knowledge is a river that's continuously flowing, which means whereas curriculums have to be developed, they should be developed with a layer that continuously aligns with what's happening in the real world. Yeah. Which means that there should be an open and a structured, active relationship with the industry in which the specific education entity is engaged in. For example, if the School of Performing Arts is teaching film or teaching drama, there should be an active plug with the filmmakers, if for those interested in film. Yeah. And also, except for a few of us who had some connections and then we got invited, but there should be a formal process for filmmakers who are professional out there in the industry to participate in the education system. Yeah. If I want to share my knowledge with Makerere, there should be a very clear system and it shouldn't be complicated. I should be able to say, yeah, I have time and I can book a slot and I can go and share my knowledge. And there should be also some kind of open mentorship program in which students can connect with industry players who are seasoned, and they can book opportunities to engage them. This should be in the design. It shouldn't be out of initiative. I see it out of initiative from individual lecturers, professors who feel the need, but it should be in the policy. It should be designed as part of the system, and a very clear way in which, because when I was in Gulu a couple of months ago, lecturing, sharing knowledge with the musicians, they were asking, we want to share knowledge with academic institutions. How do we do this? Well, I was thinking, I've been there, I've done it, but I couldn't remember a clear system of how I could plug them in. Yeah. So meaning that there are practitioners out there, in professionals that want to share their knowledge, but I think there's not a clear system. So this needs to be designed and structured as part of policy, so that then that bridge is open and anybody can plug in. Okay. And if possible, they can even create incentives. For example, there are a lot of players in the creative space who are self-taught, because a lot of this knowledge was not available in academic institutions. Yeah. But through practice, they have become masters. And sometimes even doing much better than what is being taught in our academic institutions. Yeah. So, but there's always a void among these professionals, the void and the desire to validate their knowledge. Yeah. So the idea is that the incentive should be that, because the centers of learning have become the centers of validation of knowledge, they should also work with these professionals to assess the level of knowledge and validate it by either issuing academic credentials or some kind of honorary credentials, so that people also feel like, oh, if I share my knowledge, I get something back in return. Yeah. I think that will be a beautiful opportunity to be introduced in the academic policies. Wow.
I think, thank you very much, Jeff. I want to take you straight. I know we are hastening to the close of the program. But there's something that you've mentioned that is quite very interesting that I want to actually, go back to. People who have been practicing, some of these things, coming much more stronger than people who have studied theoretically and cannot practice. That came out very clear. But are we in the creative space harnessing the power that we have to say, look, let us go out there and engage the policymaker. Let us make a proposal to the policymaker to say, look, what you have is good, but what we are having on this end is much what you have. And what I mean here is that the creative minds, the people in the culture and cultural space promotion, people who are in the creative industry, production, are able to come together and say, let's go and engage Ministry of Education and Sports and say, look, in this area, this is our proposal to you. And then engage people in the national curriculum to say, look, in this area, this is what we have for you. Are we seeing this? Why are people in the creative industry, like you've mentioned, the musician when you're in Gulu, in northern part of Uganda, and sharing knowledge, are not able to, interact and interface with these people? What do you think is the problem, and how can we improve it going forward?
I think the problem is the way government is designed. The government is designed to work around mandates, and these mandates are very specifically defined in a certain way. So whereas an individual government employee may appreciate ideas coming from a certain group, they have no clear way of integrating them unless these ideas follow protocol. They follow the procedures laid out by government. And in the past, we've not had a very clear structured relationship between the creative sector with government. But now it's unfolding. It's actually happening as we speak. Yeah. Several platforms have been created, and they are now interfacing with the Ministry of Gender. And I think it's the right time to have that sort of discussion. Otherwise, before there was no clear way. I was part of those people that have engaged different government institutions on different levels, but I realized that was the problem. The problem is that mandate is defined in a specific way, and it's very hard for them to introduce anything outside of that system. But with now an official platform through which, like now, associations are there, associations interface with the forums, and these forums interface with the government, with the ministry. So there's a chain of command that you can follow, and this is a great time to have that sort of conversation, and it's the best time to start such initiatives.
Okay, that's it, Jeff. Given this new relationship that the French people are talking about, shouldn't it be that also shouldn't it be that we, or rather, should we not have a conversation that spring out from France also holding a conversation with more governments to actually engage them in Africa, to say, look, we've met the creative people, we've met the young people, but now we need to have a cross-sectoral, sort of conversation where the key people of the award, what are we intending to achieve with this award? Is there a check and balance that says, okay, fine, we want to award, but how are we awarding the award? How did we arrive at that? So we find that most of our things are happening just for a short period of time to meet a certain demand. And so the guys we want to interact with, the new relationship we're talking about with the French, they do things in a much more systematic way. So if Stella Tal, for example, based in France, is going to be awarded, okay, or let's say, people like Cleopatra, who has been acting for some time, are going to be awarded. What does this has been acting for some time are going to be awarded? What does this award means to the creative sector that also award people in France, for example? What does it mean? Do they recognize it or they don't? What is it that we're trying to achieve? So my question to you as we close the show is to say, shouldn't we have intergovernmental, the France and African government holding a lot more conversation to bridge the gap so they can pick a lot more information from the creative minds and the creative sector and the promoters of the creative industries, which are basically unleashing the transformative power we're seeing right now? COVID-19 has brought to the forefront the importance of more and more now using creativity and the creative minds to actually lead the way, not necessarily politics.
The new relationship between France and Africa is like a door opening. What we've heard is the pronouncements.
Yes.
Now the next step is for us to see specific programs outlined. For example, on a local level, I expect to visit the French Cultural Center's website and expect to see programs that have been lined up. Well, government has this role to play, but I'll speak like for the private sector. I think for us to engage, we need to know, we see some kind of programs that will be presented by the French government through their either the embassy or their cultural attaché that communicate this new relationship in practice. We need to see that these are the opportunities so that we know, oh, okay, because they are saying they are opening more doors. This new relationship is about opening more doors. So which doors were closed in the past? Let's first outline which doors. One, visas. Two, licenses to perform, for example, for musicians. Two, three, for painters and artists. An opportunity to exhibit in French museums and French art galleries. Can we see these doors open? If I am an artist, what does it mean for me? An artist in Uganda, can I now start preparing to organize an exhibition in Paris? What does it mean for me if I want to start preparing an exhibition in Paris? If I am a promoter and I want to start organizing a concert in Paris, what does it mean for me? These are the questions and answers that we should be expecting, both from the government. Our government should also be now aligning themselves with these sorts of things and trying to create opportunities for our people, but also on the French side, these are the things they need to start showing us. That, you know, these are the doors that we have opened. You have this door number one that gives an opportunity to performers to work alongside French artists to have concerts. Our artists can organize exhibitions, and these are the rules, and this is how you can participate. These sorts of things, they need to be clear for us to say now the doors are actually open. And this is a really new relationship.
Wow. I like that summary which Jeff has just brought. Thank you very much. I think that's a very important, part of this conversation, that yes, they are saying the doors are open, the new relationship is open, but is it open for me to collaborate with the French? The perspective, that's a very fantastic show. Overall, Jeff has nailed it. My question to Jeff is, he speaks very fluent and passionate about these things, but we're not seeing them engage government at a certain level. He said he has been engaging government. At what level has he been engaging government? Or he was in Gulu just because the general was also paying the bills? Jeff, now that's a question for you. Coming, let me just read another one from here, to pick it up from there. As I see this one says, Educula, thank you very much for bringing Jeff to the show, and thank you, Creative Industry Talk. These are a meaningful conversation we should be having. My question to Jeff is, yes, we want government to participate, but are the government willing to participate? Do they understand where we are coming from? Creative people have always been used whenever they are needed. But when there is a problem or when we are suffering, nobody opens the door for us. And we have tried to engage these people, doors are always closed. The door is like open as and when they need you. When you need them, you can't find them. Jeff could shed more light quickly on how we can maybe creatively engage with these people. That's a very interesting question and perspective. I never thought about it that way. So over to you, Jeff.
Let me start with the second question.
Yes.
I'll go back to the first one.
Yeah.
With the second one, it's true to a very large extent that the doors were not, they're not open. They are open conveniently when they need.
Yes.
In the past, I think that has been largely true. But lately, the government is actively expressing interest, and both in human resource, but also in committing resources. I have seen that firsthand. For example, they have employed people that actually understand the art space, the creative industries, and these people are now involved in interfacing with people who they've worked with in the past in the private sector. So which is a good start, because that was part of the problem in the past, where you would go and approach a commissioner and it's totally blank about what you're talking about, and you could see that they had very limited understanding of what was happening in the creative industries, and they had little motivation to implement any of these ideas that were being proposed to them. But now they have put this in place. Operation Wealth Creation has committed lots of resources. It's a government institution, and we've seen these resources flow. The words you've mentioned, apart the sponsorships and all these initiatives they are sponsoring, are a testament to that. And I think I am optimistic as we stand right now. Yeah, regarding the first question, how do we what do we do with government? How do we interface with them? Government is a slow giant, and sometimes things don't move as fast. But we have engaged them on many fronts, and we've seen changes. I mean, personally, I started as way back as when we still had the old copyright law. Yeah. And we were very active, organized many workshops, forums, and closely worked with government people to work on the revisions. And a big part of the current copyright law was from the work that we put in, because we set expectations and they listened. Well, we did not cover 100%, but things can't be solved entirely in one go. I mean, we are a developing country, and the struggle continues in one or the other. But the government has been making baby steps, and the baby steps so far are not bad. We hope for more, and we've engaged them, and we've continuously, I mean, those meetings, it's them who initiated them, and then they invited us to come and share, which is a good thing, because in the past they were not even initiating any. We were the ones initiating, and they were very slow to respond. But now they are initiating meetings and inviting us to contribute and to play a role. That's a very big step, and I think that's we will see a lot of results with that, and we have started to see the fruits.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. We're coming to the end of the show. I want to just put up that topic so that we can remind you of what we've been discussing. And of course, the topic and the conversation continues. Cultural and creative industries, unleashing the power of transformative, to see whether this conversation will open up, whether the doors will open up for us to have, you know, some of this conversation going forward. What does it really mean? You said it is just the door open, invitation. Now we need to see, when you enter the sitting room or the living room, what is there waiting.
What is available for us to partake.
Yes, and also if we open the door for them like we've always opened, are we ready to also invite them in? Because some of the things that somebody has asked the question says, well, the French may be talking very good right now, but it needs to be a reality. It does not need to be, you know, talk which is up there. And somebody has made a very interesting review. In fact, a comment here on the, you know, says, Eddie Okela, thank you very much. I have a comment, and I think I need to put it up there. Notice that the Kampala geopolitical talk was quite very interesting, but I found it lacking in many ways. One, it was more political than it's supposed to be a reality to achieve some of the things they're talking about. We wanted to see more of the local people coming. I would have appreciated to see a person like Jeff on a platform, but not to see the old guards that we have seen before, ministers hosting the event. Why are we not putting that's the first place where I saw that the organizational French was lacking. They need to open it, and they need to open the door. I think I agree with them. I think that the Kampala geopolitical talk, which is a global discussion, that brings all this perspective together. In my view, it was also very uptown. It was elitist. Good. Yeah, elitist. I could see the ministers and the talk they're talking about up there were not really coming down to address some of the things that we're talking about, and I found that very interesting. I gave my feedback to the director of Alliance. And I said, when I had a small chat with him, I told him, well, I think it was good, but in my view, it was too uptown, and it was more political than the reality of things. And we've seen so much of that, in my view. I don't know whether
I agree, totally.
We want to continue seeing the same thing. So if the French people are talking about the new relationship, in my view, I think the door needs to be open for, a few things. And I like what this person says. I would love to see people like Jeff on the stage.
I think the conversation is just beginning, and they are laying the foundation. Usually it's top to bottom approach. Yes. So it starts with setting the pace from government to government, and at that level, and then eventually it will filter down to the sort of conversations we are expecting to the grassroots.
Wow. Well, Jeff, thank you very much. Your final parting shot today, what should we take from you? The 2 things or 3 things that we can take from this conversation, if you would look into the camera and just give it to us.
I think we should prepare for opportunity. And to prepare for opportunity is actual work that you need to put in. If you haven't put in the actual work to prepare for opportunity, then it will come and go. Or those who are ready will come and take it. So if you want to tap into this opportunity, be ready. If you're a filmmaker, have scripts ready, have a business structure ready. If you're an artist, be ready to interface with international events. Do you have a technical writer? Do you have a booking agent? Do you have a manager? Do you have the basics in place? So if opportunity is here, be ready for the opportunity. I think that's my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And we want to toss here and say, you know, from us here, we always have to do this nicely and spread the love, like Pastor Mugabe said. From us here, thank you very much for coming to the program and for, you know, doing justice to this topic.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to more, you know, coming up. And
I appreciate hosting me and sharing the conversation on the creative sector.
Thank you very much. And to all of you guys out there, Creative Industry Talk has come to our end today. And until next week, we want to say stay creative, stay creating, and stay focused. Stay away from, you know, the risk of this disease called, you know, coronavirus. We don't know so much about it. So the creative people have to find the creative ways of navigating, you know, coronavirus. Until then, Edio Killer, Geoffrey, Jeff Ekongot, signing out, and we're missing Faizo Chiwewa. Until next time, stay focused.
So as we come to the end of the show, what word do you have for baristas out there? Because like we said earlier, you won't be a barista at 70, okay? What can these baristas do to make themselves more relevant in the coffee chain and the coffee process, and also more relevant for their lives going ahead?
Okay. I usually meet baristas and I'll tell them you're going to be active for 10 years maximum. You know, if you stretch it, 20 years. But you can, graduate yourself first. You've learned barista, basic barista, add more skills, but also advance to maybe quality control. Because if you do R or Q grading, then you can get a job in a pre-coffee processing farm. That's 1+. Another thing, if you're a barista who has a background in agriculture, you can work backwards, switching back to your profession. It's going to be good if you applied for a job, let's say quality control, and you're a barista, you have studied R or Q, and you also know some coffee agronomy. Definitely they will take you. Also, you're going to be better than someone who has studied quality control but is not a barista, because every employee wants a bigger package of you at the same price. So the thing is, if you're a barista, you're 40 years, you've overstretched maybe 40, 45, please learn Q or R. UCD has free, these are free courses. I'm not speaking for UCD, but they are free. R and Q grading, they are free. You stand a chance to get a job in the coffee industry, in growing or processing farm. But another thing, we have some people we are with who have a background in agriculture or biotechnology.
It is time for the coffee break. A very good morning wherever you're watching us from. How are you doing? How's been your week? Monday to Friday is always a stressing time, like you wake up on a Monday and you're like, oh God, I have a whole week waiting for me. But on a Saturday like this and a morning like this at an hour of 11 a.m., we always got you covered. We give you a break and talk about coffee, get to know things that you might have done during the week, and your weekend is covered. So my name is Amon Mukisa and welcome to the Coffee Break show. This is House of Talent Television and we're streaming live on our YouTube channel. That's at House of Talent Uganda, but also catch the show on Facebook as House of Talent Television Uganda. But on Twitter, you can go over there and follow our Twitter handle. That's at HTV1 Uganda. We shall be streaming live every show from our studios right here in Bukoto. And we get to talk about coffee. We have a variety of shows, but today it's time for coffee. Welcome once again on the show. Today I have a guest. We're going to be talking about various things. We're going to be talking about a little bit of how the coffee houses are going to open up. The economy is fully opening up literally like next week. It's going to fully open up, and now we want to look at it in that aspect of how are the coffee houses ready and how are they going to cope up with extended hours of working, but also on the side of the baristas, are they ready to tackle or take on this mantle of working for more extensive hours? Because most of the baristas, you never know during this time of work, they got more things to do because they used to work less hours. But that's the conversation we shall be having today with my guest today. But before we get into all that, welcome my guest today on the show.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, man.
Thank
Who are we having here today?
Yeah, I'm called Apaga Samuel, and I'm Ugandan by nationality, a barista by profession, and
Yeah, I like the confidence, man. That's 2022, eh? That's the way to go, eh? Yeah. It's Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Samuel, how have you been?
I've been good.
How are you finding the new year?
The new year hasn't been that bad, just because I resigned from my former workplace to move on with something new as I prepare for something better. Always
when people resign from their former workplaces, they always have something big coming.
Yeah.
Do you have something big that's coming?
Yeah, there's something big I'm expecting.
Whenever baristas resign, I always think about ocean out. Oh, that's not something big you're talking about, eh? Sam,
Yeah.
So let's talk about coffee, because this is the coffee break.
Yes, sir.
How do you get into the coffee industry, and how did you get to know about coffee?
Actually, I got to know about coffee through a brother. I was in Form 6. Then we're getting to a vacation. Then a brother talked to me, was like, Sam, you're soon having a vacation and it's a bit long. 8 months when you're home.
Yeah.
Yeah.